So it's not perfect, but it is back. Good to be with you. We have some heavy stories to get into. Ed Morrissey from Hot Air will be with us to talk about what's going on with Don Lemon in Minnesota. Your questions. I'm Tony Katz. The show is Tony Katz Today. Don't forget to subscribe. Producer Landon, let's go.
My friends from as long as people have called this city their home, a question has been contested. Who is a New Yorker? At each juncture, many have sought to narrow the answer. The stranger has been ostracized on job postings, on placards denying entry to restaurants and shops, in neighborhoods where only some New Yorkers were allowed to live. Every conceivable crack has been exploited into a chasm of division. On every occasion where the forces of darkness have raised the question, who is a New Yorker? The people of the city have offered our own answer. All of us.
Yeah, that hasn't been the total answer. Because to be a New Yorker, you have to be a citizen of New York. And in order to do that, you have to be an American. Tony Katz Today. Good to be with you. It's not your radio. It's my cold. Really apologize about yesterday. The voice was gone. No talking whatsoever. Happy to be back. That's Zoran Mamdani, the communist mayor of New York, who has sent 17 people to die. I'm sorry, we're not allowed to say that. The storms came through, the cold came through. He did not force people into the shelters to get them off the streets. So he let those who are most mentally disturbed or drug-addled die on the streets. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is communism. That is, as he described it, the warm embrace of the collective. They died in the cold. But Zoran Mamdani now wants to be the arbiter of what is a New Yorker? What is an American? Legal, not legal, those are just abstract concepts.
And yet we know that answer is not permanent, nor is it predetermined. Each generation must assert what we know to be true, because New York serves as living proof. We are stronger when we welcome the stranger.
It's always good to have a slogan. We're stronger when we welcome the stranger. Let me take you to Indiana. The story here has made national news. The story here is a simple one. 4 dead as illegal immigrant semi-truck driver plows into Amish van in Indiana. The driver of this van is from Kyrgyzstan, an illegal immigrant who was able to receive a commercial driver's license. Now the question before us is quite simple. Are we stronger when we welcome the stranger? The answer is obviously no, because we don't ask the following question. Is the stranger friend or foe? Is the stranger interested in our way of life? Is the stranger believing that where they came from is better than where they are? Does the stranger have a motive other than living their best life within the American framework? We're stronger when we welcome the stranger. That's as vapid a statement as Lin-Manuel Miranda saying love is love is love is love is love is love is love. Do you remember? I don't know if he said that at the Grammys or the Tonys, but love is not love. When children are abused and sexually exploited, it's not love. Rape is not love. Love is not love, is not love, is not love. It's a gross thing to say. It hides harsh realities, and I believe does so purposefully. The harsh reality here is that this illegal immigrant was able to get a commercial driver's license in Pennsylvania last July. And I want to know when Governor Josh Shapiro is charged as an accessory to murder. I have stated already that the governor of Indiana, Mike Braun, that the Attorney General of Indiana, Todd Rokita, must sue Pennsylvania. And also, California must be sued for giving these driver's licenses to people who are here illegally. We need to know the system that was followed in Pennsylvania. What system was actually followed? What check, what double check, what recheck was done before the license was issued? The company that hired this semi-truck driver, was E-Verify used? Was any other system used to ensure that they were here legally? Now, one question that I have not yet gotten answered is whether or not he even speaks English. Now, maybe he does, but we know from past experiences with truckers who have been involved in, well, flat out murder, who are here illegally, they haven't spoken English. As is reported from Homeland Security, this man, an illegal alien from Kyrgyzstan, came to the United States using the Biden administration's CBP-1 app. That's when you said, hey, I'm here. And I'm not here legally, but I'm here, and beep, 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 beep. All right, we'll give you a date to see a judge in 5 years, whatever it is. Until then, hang out. Hang out and do things, and it's fine. He was, as we now know it, entered the United States in December of 2024 and was paroled by the Biden administration. Joe Biden should be sued and should be charged with being an accessory to murder. Everything they told us about the border was a lie. Every single thing they said about not being able to handle the border was a lie, while they told us that the border was handled. It was safe and it was secure. It was all fraud. Every single bit of it. And now we're suffering. You may not drive in Indiana, but I do. This is the crossroads of America. That's what we call it. We're kind of proud of that. Exactly how many of these crossroads are right now filled with dangerous people, illegal immigrants who don't know the laws, don't care about the country, and don't possibly speak English. How many of them are driving as we speak? Listening to the show. A lot of truckers listen to the show. Call in, guys. 833-GOT-TONY. 833-468-8669. 833-GOT-TONY. How many do you know of illegal immigrants are right now driving on the roadways in Indiana? How about in Tulsa? How about in Charlotte? How many in Peoria? You're driving everywhere. 833-GOT-TONY. 833-468-8669. I will bet you the numbers are staggering and frightening. And I will bet you, even without taking a single call, there are too many, that the roads aren't safe. And we are not better off when we welcome the stranger. Mayor Mamdani didn't do anything to take care of the stranger. He let 17 people freeze to death, which I have to assume is a pretty crappy way to die. He has left garbage on the roadways. There is a story that took place earlier this week where police were called to a house because a man was acting erratically and a woman in the house was concerned. The police show up. That man, who's a pretty big guy, grabbed a knife and came at police. Police pulled their weapon, told the man to put down the knife repeatedly. At one moment, the police close a door, like a vestibule door that has windows in it, separating himself from that man to try and get the situation to calm down. The man opened the door and then came at the officer with a knife and was shot. Zoran Mamdani, the commie mayor of New York, went to the hospital not to see the cop. He didn't go to see the cop. He went to see the suspect. And he thinks that the answer is, well, it shouldn't have been a cop there. It should have been It should have been a social worker. Welcome the stranger, send the social worker to a knife fight, as if a social worker is going to stick around when the knife appears. It's not that communists are always wrong. It's that communists have no capacity for being right. Being liars, as they are, and dealing in fantasy and not reality, how could they ever be right? All communists are liars. All communists are frauds, whether that's Zoran Mamdani or Ocasio-Cortez or Bernie Sanders. It makes no difference. All of them. And now we have 4 dead, what we call Hoosiers, people from Indiana, are called Hoosiers. What are we supposed to tell them? Their families. They were in a van. There were other people in the van when it was hit. It was carrying 15 passengers. I believe 3 of them are from one family. What are they supposed to be told? Oh, well, we're stronger when we welcome the stranger. I want Zoran Mamdani to come to Indiana and say this. Hey, I know that your family is dead, but we're stronger when we welcome the stranger. Can we at least accept in the most simplest terms that Zoran Mamdani is a scumbag of a person, heartless, truly in a way demented? I don't want to be kind about these things. I don't want to see if I can search hard enough to find his humanity. He already got 17 people killed because he wouldn't bring them in out of the cold. And now he wants the family of 4 dead to be, hey, well, at least we're welcoming the stranger. Because what the Amish needed was a lesson in civility and decency from the commie. We are not engaged in a similar conversation as the left is, meaning the left is only interested in power. We are interested in survival. The survival not only of the country, not only the survival of the Constitution, not only a survival of the social contract and the rule of order, which is basically being a society governed by law and not by men. We're talking about our survival as we drive down the street. And the left is not with us on this. The left is nowhere to be seen on this. The left's objective is wholly different. You know, there are these high school students that have been ginned up to go out and protest, and they're walking out of classrooms, and they're going against ICE, and they're holding up signs that say, "We stopped our lesson to teach you one." I don't like people who yell at kids because they're kids and they don't know any better. Don't get me wrong, they have really pathetic parents, but they don't know any better. But if a 16-year-old tells me, I stopped my lesson so I could teach you one, I do get to respond and say, with all due respect, 16-year-old, you can't teach me anything. You're a kid. You're a child. You're not very bright. That's why you go to school. And how could you be very bright if you're skipping your lessons? 4 people are dead because you don't think ICE should do their job. Exactly how many of your friends have to die before you think ICE should do the job? How many? Okay, it's not your friends. That's too close to home. How many total strangers have to die before you say we should follow the law and ICE should do its job? How many? Answer the question. Now, you won't answer the question because you've never thought about these things because you're 16. And I don't expect you to have the answer because you're 16. And I'm willing to respect you enough as a child to let you go about being a child. But I'm sure as bloody hell ain't going to listen to you when it comes to policy because you're a child. And Zoran Mamdani, like all communists, is a child. The problem is he's a child with power, a loaded gun, and a match, and the world to him is nothing but gasoline. We are not stronger when we welcome the stranger. That is nonsense. That is jibber jabber. We are stronger when we uphold the rule of law and demand that everybody who wants to be a part of our society does the same. We're stronger that way. For giving this illegal immigrant a driver's license, I want Josh Shapiro charged. He has to be sued. Why isn't he an accessory to murder? Same thing is true for those who have died at the hands of illegal immigrants who got driver's licenses, commercial driver's licenses in California from Gavin Newsom. We should live in fear so they can move an agenda? Nah. I'm not down for that. I think we need to fight. And I think these people need to lose. And our safety and the safety of our children, and yes, the safety of strangers depends on it. I'm Tony Katz, and this is Tony Katz Today. All right. So I'm going to take Todd. Because I don't know the answer to the other guy's question. So we'll go to Todd. All right. So we have a bunch of people on the line. We're going to take some calls. I've got Ed Morrissey scheduled to join us. If truckers are going to call in, I'm taking the calls. I never do that. But if they want to share the stories, I am all ears. 1,000%. Sean Duffy has already been quoted about this. But I want to see him get in someone's face. I want him flying to California and getting in that wimp Gavin Newsom's face hard. I do not want kindness on this. Not in the slightest. Guys, the voice is so rough. Tea is disgusting. It's gross. And this right here, hold on. Oh, it's dripping. This is actually called throat coat. I know it sounds so horrific. It is excellent. I used it when I was doing some audiobooks. I was doing the narration, and it was spectacular. But that's for kind of like clearing out the throat. This is a lost voice, so it's a different issue, but it does feel good. So I asked the question, are you a trucker? We're talking about illegal immigrants getting these commercial driver's licenses. And the question before us is, what are you seeing on the roadways? Because I don't think the roadways are safe. Bunch of people called in. I love truckers. Oh, so talk radio without truckers, it doesn't exist. It just doesn't. Tony Katz today. Todd is on the line right now. Todd, welcome to the show, man. I appreciate it. I was asking about what do you see as a truck driver when you were talking about illegal aliens? Is it super rare, or has it become this commonplace thing to be able to get a CDL? Voice is shot, but aside from that, I'm glorious. Really? So, well, let me just get everybody caught up here. You own a wrecker service, right? So you're doing the towing, but you do the heavy duty towing. So when there is a semi involved in an accident or breaking down or whatever, you're out there doing the towing, and you're saying that 90% of the truckers that you're dealing with don't speak English as a first language, or don't speak English at all. Not at all. Right. When did it change, Todd? In your view, how long have you been doing this? So when did the change come? Was it already trending this way when you started, or is this a more recent development? Right. Todd, man, I appreciate the call. Stay safe and get back to work. It is one thing if you don't speak English as your first language. It's something wholly different if you don't speak the language at all. We're going to keep talking. Ed Morrissey of Hot Air scheduled to join us. We're going to get into the latest with Don Lemon's so-called defense and the things out of Minnesota. We might get into this as well. Find everything at TonyKatz.com, live streaming on the YouTubes. Check that out for yourself. This is Tony Katz Today. All right, now, you'll notice that you did not hear the radio audio, right? That happens because we're not yet connected that way. Landon, if you'll do me a favor and send me that audio from that segment immediately so I can get it over to Sarah, and we'll get the clip up and we'll marry it together so everybody can hear it. Not easy. There are tougher things, but not easy. Let's see. All right, let me bring this down. And let me bring this here. And we will make it like that. And then we'll do this. Hey, Ed Morrissey.
How you doing, sir?
I'm good, man. By the way, we're live with people. They're watching you with your Town Hall Media Cup.
Yeah, you like my... I always make sure I point it at the at the camera.
We see. I think that kind of marketing is gross.
It's product placement. I learned it from Mac and me.
Excuse me, I have to put this down on my TK coaster. See how much it's used? Right there. So what's up?
All sorts of stuff that you don't want to get into. Trust me, but
we are live with people, so if you want to get into it, everyone's going to hear it.
Nah.
What the media won't say about Minnesota, we're going to get into that story.
Yep.
And then stuff about Don Lemon. I'm on this argument that, Axios put out this piece that when it comes to the economy and immigration, Trump's losing and Republicans are really worried about losing the Senate. Well, I want them worried about losing the Senate. I want them constantly in a state of fear at all times. But if you think Trump's losing the immigration fight, only if he backs off of Minnesota. He has to triple down when it comes to ICE, not back away. So I disagree. And you're the one who brought up this idea about chaos. I have gone through this with people. It's official. Everyone hates you. They hate this theory of yours. I actually think you got to go the other way. You have to do more. You have to be stronger. Doesn't mean you don't change tactics. There might be better tactics.
Well, and I think that's what Homan was. Homan was a change of tactics, and it's worked out brilliantly for him. I mean, that Harvard-Harris Caps poll, I don't know if you had a chance to take a look at that. That was taken after Homan was appointed, right? Like the day 2 and 3 after Homan came into Minnesota. And that's his best issue on Harvard-Harris Caps is specifically handling the protest in Minnesota is his best issue. He had a 51% job approval rating on that issue. It's the only thing he was above 50% on. And so, I think you change tactics, but you don't change the mission. And that's exactly what Homan's saying. And we're going to get into this, I assume, when we're recording for your
we're not
radio.
We're live.
Oh, we are live. Okay. So, so I'm sorry. So we'll get into it right now. This is
live as we speak with people watching the live stream. And then we'll be back to the radio show in about 45 seconds.
Okay, great. So yes, that's the issue that that Homan is saying is that we are still going to be on mission. We're still going to do this because it's still popular. If you look at how immigration enforcement polls, it's still popular. People want what's happening in Minnesota to happen. They don't want people getting killed over it. But I think people understand what the issue is there in Minnesota over that as well. And I think that the left has vastly overplayed their hands on this, and Democrats have vastly overplayed their hands on the whole abolish ICE rhetoric. And they've been warned about this too, that if you're going to go out there and start yelling abolish ICE, you're going to have a real big problem in the midterms.
We're coming back. Stay right where you are. By the way, it's the best my voice can do. So you sound better than I do. That's just terrible. My argument has been constant. You do not back off ICE. You triple down. And the argument from the left that what has happened in Minnesota has been terrible for Trump, terrible for Republicans. None of this is real. None of it. Now, it doesn't mean you don't change tactic. That could happen. But the idea of not going after illegal immigrants, you can put all the 16-year-olds on the street that you want. Doesn't change reality. And the voter will reward stick-to-itiveness. Tony Katz today, it's just the voice. It's a cold, and it's the voice, and it's just a mess. Luckily, I have Ed Morrissey here, and he sounds like an angel.
Ha! Okay. Thank you, Tony. I appreciate that. I don't think that that's quite the case. I'd settle for, a Miller Lite esque sort of voice for
sounds like an angel and walks like a gazelle. Ed Morrissey of hotair.com, Hot Air blog. You've got the story, man. And we don't talk about these things, off air. Sometimes we do disagree, but sometimes, man, you are just Johnny on the spot. What the media won't say about Minnesota, Trump won. I wholeheartedly agree with what you're saying. I want you to break it down. What is it that you're saying?
First off, what I'm saying is that Trump has forced Minnesota out of its sanctuary city policies prior to Operation Metro Surge. Minnesota refused to cooperate with Immigrations and Customs Enforcement and Border Patrol. They wouldn't honor ICE detainment requests. They wouldn't transfer the detainees, and they would release them back into the Twin Cities communities, which is the reason why ICE had to go out in those communities to find those people in the first place. And what has happened since the two shootings of Renee Good and Alex Preddy is that Donald Trump changed tactics. This is your point. You don't change the mission, you change tactics, you improve, you adapt, you overcome. And appointing Tom Homan in that role gave him an opportunity for everybody to take a breath and for Tom Homan to deliver the message that if you want us to start drawing down agents here, you have to stop the sanctuary city refusals, and you have to start cooperating with ICE and Department of Homeland Security. And that's what is actually happening. That's how this is being resolved, is that Tim Walz and Jacob Frey are grudgingly, and I mean grudgingly, starting to cooperate now with ICE in the same way that every other jurisdiction in the United States does, except
Let me stop you real
10
quick.
others.
So I think it's a little lost on people that what Homan announced earlier this week is that we can withdraw 700 ICE agents, really these Border Patrol guys, because they were only there to give ICE support because local law enforcement was nowhere to be found. But now local law enforcement is doing their job. We don't need these guys. So for the left, they have to accept the fact that that Tim Walz, the governor, Jacob Frey, the mayor of Minneapolis, are working with ICE. The left cannot have this. The left does not believe in finding a deal. The left believes in destroying their enemy until their enemy is dead. So there has to be a conversation of response to this. And the only response I could come to is the left is willing to burn those guys down too. And anybody in the party who might think that Trump is somehow in the right.
Well, and you're seeing this in Capitol Hill too. Remember, we just had the continuing resolution while they're still haggling over reforms for ICE, and some of these things are kind of no brainers. Requiring body cameras, that should have been done a few years back. And Kristi Noem says, "Send me the money, I'll buy the body cams." That's fine. There's some issues about training, and that's fine too. Nobody's going to object to more training for ICE agents. There's going to be some things that Democrats want. They want judicial warrants on any arrests, and that's not going to fly. This is not a judicial process. It's an administrative process, and administrative warrants are all they need. And so there's this fight that's going on, but that's the details. The overall arching thing is that the radicals are really angry that House Democrats allowed that funding to go through even for 2 weeks. And when they have to cut a deal for the rest of the year, and they're going to have to because the funding is being held up for TSA, for FEMA, and and for the Coast Guard, they have to cut a deal on this. They're going to lose their minds when ICE gets its funding for the rest of the year, and that's what's going to end up having to happen. There was 21 Democrats that crossed the aisle on the CR because their constituents are not in favor of abolishing ICE. They are not in favor of coming off mission in arresting and deporting illegal immigrants.
So this brings us to something I talk about all the time, and I know you're talking about as well, talking to Ed Morrissey of hotair.com. The left always overplays their hand.
Yes.
The left could have gone on and on about Renee Good and Alex Preddy, not been honest about what had happened, only call ICE murderers, which is a despicable and disgusting thing to do, and they could have gotten traction, serious traction. But they overplay, and the overplay is exactly where they were about defund the police. They still believe
exactly
this. Defund ICE, defund DHS, Department of Homeland Security, which, for the record, if you told me we were getting rid of the Department of Homeland Security, I would look at you and say, okay, wouldn't bother me in the slightest. Department of Homeland Security, Department of Education, there are a lot of departments I'm more than happy to get rid of. But the overplaying their hand leads to this situation that you're describing. How does the base now look at the party and not look at them as liars or frauds or hypocrites or with anger, derision, holding their money back, not voting? The left creates a problem for themselves every time they put themselves in a box. How is it viewed, how this is going to play out for them as we start walking towards a midterm?
This is the problem with overpromising and under-delivering in politics. These guys are way out over their skis on the idea that they're going to shut down ICE. They've been talking about shutting down ICE, by the way, as long as they have been talking about abolishing the police, right? Defunding the police. ICE was part of that conversation 6 years ago when the riots began in Minneapolis, same city, over the George Floyd death in police custody. ICE was part of that same conversation. People do not want to defund the police. People want immigration laws enforced. And that was the issue in the 2024 election. They had the opportunity to continue non-enforcement with Kamala Harris, or upgraded and intense enforcement with Donald Trump. That was a very clear choice. It was one of the clearest choices in the 2024 election. Donald Trump won that election. He was the first Republican to win by the popular vote in 20 years. And that means something. And these people are just sore that they lost the election, that they're on the wrong side of this question. In some instances, it's actually an 80-20 question when you're talking about criminal illegal aliens, violent illegal aliens, and they're on the wrong side of this.
Oh, you're 100% right. And, Harry Enton over there at CNN was sharing some of that data, and people lost their minds over it. 75% of people, it was 80% of people are white, 75% of people are Hispanic, 72% of people who are black. The numbers are very clear that people support, for example, voter ID, and they support what it is regarding law enforcement removing illegal immigrants. And the left on both of those sides have put themselves in a very precarious situation. The question that I asked was, where do we see a result that it hurt them? Because I can logically walk through this with you, and you'll say things I agree with and vice versa, and say, okay, this should mean a depressed voter turnout. This should mean anger with a candidate, and they're going to go about engaging a primary of this person with somebody even more radical, someone that AOC decides to nominate and or support, like is happening in New Jersey right now.
Right.
But in the end, I never see that in a large-scale way. I see the left rallying around, and again, Trump bad, and no matter their anger, it doesn't seem to matter. Is there a moment where the overplay of the hand leads to a serious issue with voter turnout and losing elections?
Yeah, you saw it in 2024. I mean, really, you honestly saw it in 2024. And it wasn't just the fact that Joe Biden was senile and that the Democrat Party was covering it up. That was part of the context of that. Sure. But honestly, the main issue, the biggest issue in that election, the biggest difference between the two candidates was on immigration. And it was very clear. There's economic arguments on both sides. There were some differences in the approach that were more incremental. Immigration was clear. Kamala Harris wasn't going to enforce immigration law. Donald Trump was, and he was going to do it ruthlessly. And that's exactly what people voted for. Now, I don't think you'll see the moment that you're looking for until you get to the midterms. And there's going to be lots of things that go into midterms. A lot of those things are local issues, or you've got all these different redistricting efforts that are going on this year. Virginia just voted for a really crazy map. Texas is redistricted. California apparently is going to go with their redistricting. There's going to be all sorts of this type of fallout. However, I think that when you are on the right side of an 80-20 issue or a 75-25 issue, that's going to have some impact. And the thing about midterms, they're not special elections. Everybody knows them. They plan for it. They come up. Those are the ones that you want to watch for. That doesn't mean that Republicans are going to win it either. They have to go out and they have to make the argument. However, on immigration enforcement and on crime in general, I'd rather be on the Republican side at the moment than on the Democrat side. The Democrats are way out of line with the thrust of the electorate as it stands right now, and the radicals are running the show.
Ed Morrissey, hotair.com. Stay right there. Got to take the quick break. Keep it here, everybody. I'm Tony Katz. This is Tony Katz Today. Now, Ed, first of all, don't ever smile like that again. Holy crap. Don't, certainly don't do lizard people stuff. What's wrong with you?
It's a Friday, man. I don't even. I can't even start to tell you what's wrong with me.
So we're still live. People are still watching, and they're like, "My God, that is a handsome man. Does he dye that beard?" And they're talking about you.
Thank you.
We've got about a 5-minute break. Is there any chance you can hang a little bit longer?
Yeah.
Because you brought up redistricting, and I'd love to get your thoughts.
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
Seeing. So. Guys, we'll take a quick break. We're going to give Ed a chance to grab a drink, maybe go to the bathroom and get some just for
Grecian formula. Get a little bit more Grecian formula on this here. Yeah.
Keep it right here, guys. Welcome back, Tony Katz. Tony Katz today. Ed Morrissey will be back with us in just a moment, just giving him a little time to, I don't know, powder his nose. I don't know what he does. I don't know what he does when he's on some level of break. Maybe I shouldn't know. Maybe I don't need to know. But he brought up redistricting, and it isn't because I'm in Indiana. Anywhere you are across the country, you could see that Indiana Republicans failed on redistricting. And it was a big contentious thing here. And they're like, the people have spoken. They don't want this. And we don't work for Trump. And that was never the argument. That was the left's argument. Meanwhile, the left has gone on to create maps in Maryland and Virginia that have nothing to do with the representation. They don't care. They understand what fight they're in. Now, it doesn't mean that these maps are going to go through, which is a big part of the story, but rather it is about understanding the fight in and of itself. That's Ed Morrissey right there. Look at him. Heck of a guy. And when we come back, so this is my argument, Ed. It isn't about whether or not a map is going to go through. It's about understanding the fight that you are in. This is a political battle, and I have got a political right that refuses to battle. That's my argument.
Yeah, I think that if you were at the start of this cycle of, mid-cycle redistricting, the start of the argument, and saying we shouldn't do it, I think that was a legitimate point, and maybe what's come since then bears that out. However, you're in the middle of a fight now, and you better get into the fight. If you want to compete, you better get into the fight, because Virginia's doing it, Maryland's doing it, California's done it, Texas has done it in the other direction.
Yeah,
it's time to get into that fight. And redistricting, it is a legitimate political process.
So let's right there.
Yeah,
come back to the radio show. We're going to discuss just this. It's weird. We do a radio show and the live stream. Very Hold on. There it is. That's how talented we are. You can't do that.
I guess I can't.
Now, I wasn't planning on talking to Ed Morrissey, hotair.com, about redistricting, but he brought it up. Because redistricting is an example of the opposite of how they handled ICE. You don't retreat from ICE doing their job. You demand that the laws on the books be followed. Redistricting is a political process. You can blame Trump for bringing it up. You can blame Texas for getting it started. But once it's here, and you have to deal with reality. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. Ed Morrissey joins me right now. Hotair.com. My beloved Indiana, which is 7-2, 7 Republicans, 2 Democrat seats, because that's what it is right now. They refused to redistrict. They wouldn't do it. They did not vote for it. Now, I will tell you that I thought the White House did a terrible job with the campaign here. I thought J.D. Vance did a terrible job speaking to the Republicans in private as opposed to engaging publicly. I thought the influencers did a crap job. I have said so. I meant it. The Republicans were still wrong because they don't understand the fight. They think that this is about being a nice guy and looking good to Democrats who will still call them Nazis. This is a political process, and when you're an elected official, like it or not, you are in the great game. And this was about trying to ensure advantage. Meanwhile, as you were noting, Maryland and Virginia have written some insane maps because Democrats are willing to play politics and Republicans want to play nice. Talk to me about these two maps as you're seeing them and where you think this goes.
Well, remember that the claim about Texas was that it was going to be too Republican and it wasn't fairly representing Democrat voters in the state, the new map that was drawn in Texas. Well, the Maryland map, I think, will result in, I think it was the Maryland map will result in 0 Republican districts, even though Republicans are about 40 to 42% of the voting electorate or voting results in Maryland elections. In Virginia, I think it's 1. I think there's going to be 1 seat that might be able to be held by Republicans, and the same sort of thing, right? This is California redistricted, so that I think it's like 12% of the seats are going to be Republican, even though their votes comprise 40% of the vote in these national election cycles. And so the idea that this is somehow fairness is nonsense. This is brute force politics. Texas did start it. Trump started it by pushing Texas into doing it. Florida is probably going to engage in it. I think Florida might even already be drawing a map.
Yeah.
And so Indiana should have at this point said, look, we're going to have to do this simply because it's part of making sure that we are competitive in House elections.
So Maryland went with an 8-0 map. Virginia did go with a 10-1 map. And while we still have a couple minutes, the argument here is about the actual fight that we are in, and that the right is not dealing with a left that's going to honorably handle anything. They want to beat you no matter how they beat you. And Republicans still haven't learned this base lesson. What's going to teach them?
Well, losing the House, I think, is what's going to finally end up teaching them, at least for a couple of cycles. Now, after the 2030 census, a lot of those seats are going to shift to red states because that's where people are moving. So this is one of the reasons why I said maybe it wasn't a wise decision to do this in 2026, is because wait a couple more cycles and it's going to just fall into your lap anyway, without opening up Pandora's box of mid-cycle redistricting. But here we are. And now that this fight is on, and it's a legitimate political process, then you have to start looking at other states, understanding that and starting to follow the same process. And it's very frustrating to me that Indiana Republicans still haven't figured out that this is not a collegial atmosphere in which you play by the Marquess de Queensbury rules. I would say this is very much like the recount that took place in Minnesota, where Norm Coleman, God bless him, I love Norm, he's a great guy, but his team brought Lutefisk to a knife fight in the recount, and the Al Franken team played by the rules. They just played really by the rules, not by the good feelings sort of thing. And so yeah, that to me is a kind of an analogy of what we're seeing this year with redistricting.
Ed Morrissey, hotair.com. Be sure to follow him there. I appreciate you taking the time to be with us. I'm going to get into Ketanji Brown Jackson at the Grammys and where the problem is, because, oh my gosh, there is a problem with Ketanji Brown Jackson at the Grammys. And the story of Wes Moore, who I said was a contender, he's more of a pretender. You won't believe it until you hear it. Keep it here. I'm Tony Katz. This is Tony Katz Today. Ed,
you need to go out. You need to, when you bring in the Wes Moore thing, you need to have an intro or an outro of The Great Pretender by,
Producer Landon, we're going to need The Great Pretender. You're going to have to make that happen. That's going to be segment 3 of hour 2. Ed, go live your life. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on, man. Thanks, everyone. Great to be with y'all.
That's Ed Morrissey. There he goes. Godspeed. Goodbye. Get out. My gosh. All right. So we're going to take the break. I got to get some more tea here. We're in the break, and the radio station's in the break. So that's what's going on. Hang loose. Smoke them if you got them. And we will be back soon enough. Welcome back. Woo-wee. Tony Katz today. It's a cold, took the voice. We're fighting through it. Yeah, it hurts, but there are things that hurt more. People deal with much worse. So I do have a bunch more phone calls from truckers and everyone who's been dealing with what's been going on. I want to speak to them. Now, sadly, I can't get that sound into the live stream, so I'm not sure how that's going to go. We're working on that because it comes from the radio station. So, all right. So we'll get with Joe. We will make that happen. So anyway, I'm glad you guys are here. I do appreciate it. Smoke them if you got them. I would like to be smoking if I had them. That would be good. But I don't. With the cold, I'm holding off. All right. There it is. Beautiful. Let's bring it back to the show. Well, there's an intro in 5. Fancy. So we've been digging in a little bit to this situation regarding illegal immigrants and trucking, where you have in Indiana 4 people that were killed because an illegal immigrant got a commercial driver's license and with their semi hit a van that had 15 people in it, mostly of the Amish community, and 4 people were killed. And how in the world did this guy get a driver's license? He was allowed in the country in 2014. He was paroled by the Biden administration. Pennsylvania gave him a commercial driver's license. I'm asking the question, why in the world isn't the governor of Pennsylvania, Josh Shapiro, being charged with a crime? Why isn't it being an accessory to murder? How is it possible that it's not? Tony Katz today, good to be here. Good to be with you. And then we had some people call in who are on the roads. They are truckers. Joe, I believe it is. Is it Joe that joins us right now, Producer Landon? Joe is on the line. I'm sorry, who's that? Hey, Joe. Oh, okay. Wait, so hold on. Just for clarity, you're not on the roads, but you sell the big rigs. Okay, you do inspections. Got it. All right, so I appreciate the call, and I thank you for the sharing. Well, I want to certainly hear from people who are involved in the industry. That's the story. I think everyone's got a story of dealing with somebody in a semi where it didn't go well. They thought they were in danger. They thought they weren't following the rules. But rather, the question is, what are we allowing on the roads? That's the question before us. What are the standards? And why would anybody be opposed to a standard? That's the question. And when we take a look at this story, we take a look at 4 people dead, and we take a look at another state allowing illegal immigrants to get commercial driver's licenses. First things first, what does it take to get a commercial driver's license? Do I have to have a note from my mother written in crayon? Seems pretty easy. Seems too easy. Because we have a trucker shortage and we need these people, we don't need them that bad. We don't need them that bad. Lives are on the line. So having the experience, right, where something bad happened, or to say that you saw somebody driving erratically, That, I think we all have that story. The story that I'm interested in, the curiosity that I have is, what are people who are in the industry, what are they experiencing? That's the question. And that's what we have to get to the bottom of. And this conversation is taking place everywhere. This was Fox News earlier today.
Truck driver accused in a deadly crash in Indiana. It killed 4 people. The driver reportedly entered the United States under President Biden using the CBP One app and released on parole. Senior correspondent Mike Tobin has this tragic story. Hi, Mike.
And sadly, Dana, it's another case of someone who entered the U.S. under Biden administration policies, went to a sanctuary state, got a license to get behind a big rig, and now someone is hurt or killed. It happened in Indiana on Tuesday. One truck on State Road 67 slowed down. The truck behind him did not, instead swerved into oncoming traffic. The truck hit a van transporting 4 men from Indiana's Amish community. The 4 men were killed. The driver of that van is now in critical condition. Indiana State Police report the driver of the semi-truck is 30-year-old Bezkan Beshiki from Kazakhstan. He entered the U.S. using the Biden administration CBP One cell phone app, and that was in December of 23. Bishakiev was issued a commercial driver's license by the state of Pennsylvania. Now, the issue of undocumented people behind the wheel of big rigs is painful for Marcus Coleman. In June of 2024, his 5-year-old daughter was critically injured by a driver from India who entered the U.S. illegally and got a commercial driver's license when he was still a teenager. Dahlia will spend the rest of her life in need of medical care.
How many more of these stories do we actually want? And I bring this up again. Where do I come back to a story like this? I bring this up again because I got to figure out a way to say this nicely, but I do not know if I have a way to say this nicely. I don't care how the left feels about any of this. I don't care how they feel about illegal immigrants. I don't care whether they think I'm nice or not. I don't give a damn. People are getting killed, and I have young girls who now need medical care for the rest of their life. And that is a price to pay because you want someone in the country illegally? Go to hell. I'm not interested in you. You have decided that my life is totally disposable. And my answer is, no, it's not. You told me that my reality was totally disposable when you said that I had to agree that men could be women and women could be men. And I could see a man in a dress and I have to call him she. No, 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 no. I love me more than I love you. I love me more than you hate me. I'm not putting up with that. And the correct answer with all this is to say no. And if the trucking companies don't like it, allow me to say it, I don't care. What you want, if you want people here illegally driving trucks, is unacceptable. The answer is no. Business is going to be tough, I agree. You're going to have to charge more for your routes. You're going to have to pay more for drivers. We're going to have to pay more. I understand. People have to go to jail. Not only the people who are illegally getting these licenses, but the people who give the licenses, the people who do the hiring. They have to go to jail, right? It's Harvey Keitel. Someone's got to go to jail. We have to give these people a way of life and we have to give them dignity. No, 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 no. They're killing people on our streets. I don't have to give them anything except a kick in the ass and show them into a cell. I don't have to give them anything, and neither do you. They don't deserve it. They haven't earned it. It's enough. And if the left wants to have this argument, I say we have it. And if the left wants to get loud, I say we get loud. And if the left wants to get rambunctious, I think we should put them in their seat. Part of the problem with everything that you're seeing in the organized left regarding, for example, ICE, is that they think they can get violent and we're just going to sit here. Now, this becomes a very strange moment on radio, a very dangerous moment on radio. Am I a guy who's advocating violence? Absolutely not. I do not believe in creating what the left has created, which is basically organized cells or militias to engage in violence against law enforcement. Not in the slightest. Do I think that you sometimes have to fight for your country, including against those who want to destroy your country? Absolutely. Afraid of these people? Afraid of these people? What are you, out of your mind? There's this guy. Oh, who is the guy? Let me see if I have it. He's always got the face tattoos. Tony, you talking about Post Malone? No, I'm not talking about Post Malone. This guy can't sing. And he's like, come and get me, law enforcement. I'm not afraid of you. I'm so angry and I'm so tough. It was this guy right here. This guy right here. Ooh, look how tough he is. Look how angry he is. Sun's out, guns out. Shut the blank up and fight back. Oh my gosh, that's pretty violent. And look how angry he is. He's got his resistance tattoo. He's so angry and he's so upset. He's so tough and he's so strong. And then there's a picture of him and he is getting, oh, there it is. Sorry, I didn't know I had it. And there he is getting arrested. And there's Homeland Security, and there he is getting arrested while he wears a hoodie that reads, I'm Antifa. Right. Good. You ain't tough. You think people should be here illegally getting driver's licenses and killing American citizens, putting young girls in situations where they need medical care for the rest of their lives. I think we should fight. And I'm exhausted by the political right trying to pretend that there's a nice way to do this. And that includes members of the House and members of the Senate. Enough. I have 4 dead Hoosiers. How many more do I need? Enough. When do you start saying that Josh Shapiro is an accessory to murder? Gavin Newsom is an accessory to murder. Say it like that. Call them out for what is happening. Stop playing nice. It's enough. It is enough. Let me go to Adam. He is on the phones, a trucker, 14 years in the industry, Adam. Well, I appreciate that, man, very much. And so the question is what you see in the industry regarding people who are here illegally getting commercial driver's licenses, the hiring practices we're seeing out there, the issues. What was that? So this is the second time we've heard about the fact that people aren't speaking English. Is that a standard thing now in trucking? Yeah. So you're running into people who aren't able to speak English. You're running into people, trucking companies that still do the hiring. But is there, when we talk about getting a commercial driver's license, you have your CDL. How hard is that to obtain? And how would you assume these people are getting a CDL? Have you, and so you drive from Michigan, you drive through Indiana, you listen to me in Indianapolis on 93.1 FM WIBC, and I appreciate that. Have you seen that the roads with those truckers that are on the roads have gotten more dangerous over the last years? Right. Adam, man, listen, I appreciate you taking the time. I appreciate the call. I appreciate you listening. Thank you so very much. If people aren't speaking English, that's a problem. And if there's anybody who thinks it's wrong to demand that a trucker speaks English, that's also a problem. And to this point I was making earlier, it's for us to say, we don't care if you like the rule. That's the rule. You live up to the rule, or else you go to jail, or else you get deported, or else whatever the case may be. You have a problem with speaking English? That's your problem. But our job is not to make it easier for you. Our job is to ensure that young girls don't have to have a life of medical care, and that 4 people just driving down a roadway get to actually continue to drive down a roadway and not get killed. That's the argument. That's what we need to ensure. I'm Tony Katz, and this is Tony Katz Today. Welcome back, Tony Katz. Tony Katz Today. Box of tissues. Hey, the cold is real. The struggle is real. The cold is real. We're now into the phase of, yeah, this sucks. But there are worse things for sure. Elon Musk with some interesting comments. I will bring those to you as well. And, forgive me, I come back to a subject like that. But I am mortified by this total lack of we're just going to accept the idea that people are going to get killed because illegal immigrants have driver's licenses, commercial driver's licenses. We're going to act like, oh, well, it's insane. This should be a nationwide horror. What the hell is happening? This stops right now. This is an easy one to stop. And any leftist who doesn't like it, just push them aside. They don't matter. They don't count. Screw them. me see what I've got here. I've got this. Got this one right here. I've got this one right here. Don't have anything right here. Nope. All right. Bob, I don't know what it means that a channel is being botted. Are there sometimes bots and weirdos in the chat room? Oh, yeah. That happens. That does indeed happen. So we work on it. Elon Musk is getting ethereal. Is that the right word? Tony Katz. Tony Katz today. Good to be here. Good to be with you. I don't think there's any cursing, producer Landon, but finger on the dump button just in case. Elon.
Be strong enough to last long enough to extend life to other planets and to get, I guess, AI and robotics to the point where we can ensure that the future is good.
Now, maybe you missed the first part of that. This is Elon Musk arguing that the United States has to survive to be able for us to exist.
America needs to be strong enough to last long enough to extend life to other planets and to get, I guess, AI and robotics to the point where we can ensure that the future is good. Like, on the other hand, if we were to descend into, say, communism or some situation where the state was extremely oppressive, that would mean that we might not be able to become multiplanetary, and the state might stamp out our progress in AI and robotics.
Now, the left's hatred of Elon Musk, because Elon Musk thought that there was waste, fraud, and abuse in the system, because he said, I'm going to support Trump, to the point where they gave up the very concept of electric vehicles. Oh, they gave it up. It is a remarkable thing to witness. But this is an interesting conversation, because what he's saying is that in a society that is state dominated, one cannot have innovation. This is Elon Musk making the open case for capitalism, which is, of course, the right case to make. These others cannot invent, they cannot create, they cannot think, because they thwart the thinking. And they build out situations by which they prevent other people from thinking, or at least attempting. What is the value of having an idea if you're not able to follow through on the idea, even if it fails? It's a heck of a statement. America is the only place that allows you to dream big enough and act on those dreams where they can become reality. Now, his reality is kind of far out there, right? Interplanetary travel, interplanetary domiciles. You're right. It is way out there. Good. I think it's great. You want way out there thinking. You want people looking at what's next, looking ahead. What is actually over the hill? What lies beyond the horizon? That's what you want. Everything that the left wants for you is completely regressive. They're going to mock Elon Musk for this. They're going to mock him days, nights, weekends. This is a conversation about how you dream and how you want to be in a place that allows you to chase it. I like it. I like it a lot. I have much more to get to. 3 more things for you, and the story about Wes Moore, the governor of Maryland. Woo-hoo. From contender to pretender. That story's coming up. This is Tony Katz Today. Oh, it is shot. It is shot. Absolutely. Just bad news is the voice. I don't know if it sounds it, but I feel it. I act like I didn't. It's funny. When I didn't have the voice yesterday, I didn't feel it. I just couldn't talk. And that was that. Now I feel it. Oh, yeah. So this is honey and something else. Forget what this is. But it is good. It works. Should do radio with one of these. You think I'd sound better now than the start of the show? That's messed up, man. Certainly more pain than the start of the show. Certainly. And let me see. Where are we here? What do we got? We've got this. Oh, look at it. Beautiful. Get your tickets right now. Tickets.tonykatz.com. Trump 1 year later, February 28th. It's actually 1 year and 1 month later. Hyatt Regency, downtown Indianapolis. The bourbon, the food, the live music, and you. Tickets.tonykatz.com. Right there. Tickets.tonykatz.com. You gotta be there. It's gonna be an incredible night. And I'll be in full voice. I hope. I got a month. I'll be better in a month. Have to be. Oh, do I have more stupidity from Mamdani? Mamdani's the worst. He's not even a cunning communist. He's a dumb communist. Anyway, I'll bring that to you. Excellent, producer Landon. Sorry, I talk more during the breaks, but I'm just trying to keep it all together. Am I going to teach you like bourbon? I'm going to teach you about bourbon, and then you can decide whether or not you like it. There it is. It is not a victimless crime. As Fox News puts out a headline that the Department of Transportation has pulled hundreds of English illiterate illegal immigrant truckers off the roads. That's their headline. But when it comes to pretenders, nobody bigger than Zoran Mamdani.
I think of the freedom from suffering that Buddhism teaches us is only possible if we remove the three poisons of desire, hatred, and ignorance from our daily lives. We need not accept suffering as unchangeable. We need not treat hatred as the natural state. We have the power to set ourselves free. And I consider my own faith, Islam, a religion built upon a narrative of migration. The story of the Hijrah reminds us that Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was a stranger too, who fled Mecca and was welcomed in Medina. Surah An-Nahl 1642 tells us, as for those who immigrated in the cause of Allah after being persecuted, we will surely bless them with a good home in this world. Or as the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, Islam began as something strange and will go back to being strange.
Just as a question there, Zara Mamdani, as you're sitting there preaching Islam to us, am I welcome in Mecca? Now that we know the answer and how ridiculous you are, can we stop this? Can we stop pretending that you have something to offer? I'm not about to take lessons in how to deal with people in the country illegally from a political system that not only would not allow me to visit Mecca, but would kill me if they had the power. All we want to do is deport people. We want people to come in legally. Can't say that about Islam. Now, can you? I'm sorry if that offends. The truth sometimes offends. I can't worry about that. The truth is that when it comes to the layoffs at the Washington Post, there's real anger from these reporters. They have no one to blame but themselves. Hundreds of people laid off from the Washington Post. Sports division closed, podcast closed, foreign desk ripped asunder. The Washington Post was never interested in doing news. Or at the time they were interested in doing news, those days are over. They wanted to live on the history of Watergate, and that was enough for them. And when Bezos bought the paper, they said, give us money. And when Jeff Bezos said, we're going to make changes so hopefully we can make more money here, those same reporters and others said, how dare you take us off our mission to be leftists? Hey, everybody, drop your subscription. Don't buy the Washington Post. And now that they've been laid off, they're engaged in protests in front of the building.
We do. Who makes the post? We do. Who makes the post? We do. Who makes the post? We do.
These are grown-ups saying, who makes the post? We do. No. You're just journalists who can be hired and fired. We can all be hired and fired. If you own the company, you own the company, and the company can thrive or go out of business. And if you work for the company, you can be hired and you can be fired. That's it. You're not special. But what's the difference between these so-called grown-ups, these journalists who somehow we're supposed to respect, and those 16-year-olds on the street complaining about ICE? It's the same exact childlike nonsense and pablum. Same exact stuff. They don't understand how unimportant they are. You told people to cancel their subscriptions. You think that Jeff Bezos' job is to write you checks. We're the Post. He doesn't have a say. He just has to pay us. Talk about a total lack of introspection. Of the hundreds of you that were fired, couldn't one of you, just one of you, look at your production, look at your output, look at your how you treated your employer and say, you know what? I deserve to get fired. I sucked. Not a one? Yeah, well, the people have spoken, and the Post has spoken, and that's the end of that. Then there is the story of the great pretender. which is the story of Wes Moore. Wes Moore is the governor of Maryland. And I said on this show that Wes Moore is going to be a presidential contender. Military history, black man, the Democrats, they vote by checking boxes. He has a fantastic presentation. And he gave a speech at the DNC, and I said, that is as close as he's going to get to his Obama moment. That guy is going to be a contender. Well, the Washington Free Beacon put out a story. And the Washington Free Beacon said that, Wes Moore is lying like you wouldn't believe. Here is some of the story. Moore falsely claimed that he was born and grew up in Baltimore, which he did not. Now, at that moment, you got to stop. Why would you say you were born somewhere or grew up somewhere when you didn't? I was born in Brooklyn. I grew up in New Jersey. That's what happened. I was a young baby when we moved to Jersey, but that's what happened. Why would you lie about it? Well, there's a whole bunch of reasons to lie about it. You lie about it because maybe it gives you opportunity. It gives you street cred. All those sorts of things. It makes you seem tougher, stronger. But he lied about where he was born and where he grew up. He said that he was inducted into the Maryland College Football Hall of Fame. According to the Free Beacon, this organization does not exist. What? First of all, Maryland doesn't have a College Football Hall of Fame. All right, maybe not. They're terrapins. Maybe it's not necessary. I don't know. But what a thing. Because someone can look it up, but it tells you how lazy people are. You never looked it up, neither did I. It didn't even dawn on me. If I had heard it, I would be like, oh, okay. Huh. It would not dawn on me that someone would lie about such a thing. That he received a Bronze Star for his service in Afghanistan, which he had not. Now, wait a second. Did he not get the Bronze Star, or did he not serve in Afghanistan? I know he's in the military. You lie about getting a Bronze Star? I mean, if you lie about serving, I mean, that's just more than I can take. But I'm assuming if you lie about getting an award, the people in the military, around the military, would accuse you of stolen valor. Does that fit in that world? Because I would think it fits in that world. In 2016, he was considered a foremost expert on radical Islam based on his graduate thesis, which he never submitted to Oxford University's library and can no longer locate. Okay, so you were never an expert. That he was a doctoral candidate at Oxford in 2006, a claim that he has no documentation to support and on which Oxford refuses to comment. Oh, this lying goes on your whole life. You lied your way to getting people to think that you were something, and you did it every day. And that he had a, quote, difficult childhood in the Bronx and Baltimore, even though he attended the Riverdale Country School. That's where John F. Kennedy went to school, everybody, an elite private school. As a child, he didn't live in Baltimore until college, where he attended another elite private school, Johns Hopkins University. Wow, that's a lot of lying. That is like Joe Biden levels of lying. Remember, Joe Biden lied his whole career. That's all he did was lie. He was known as a liar. Joe Biden once gave a speech when he was running for president that he cribbed from a British parliamentarian by the name of Neil Kinnock. Joe Biden is a liar every day of his life. Corn Pop was a bad dude. There was no Corn Pop. The only run-in he had with Corn Pop was that time he couldn't open his cereal and he cried so much Jill had to take care of it. The end. Wow. Now there's one more Westmore story. As reported, Westmore tells the story, says Andrew Kerr, investigative reporter at Free Beacon, tells the story of his great-grandfather's exile, quote unquote, from South Carolina to Jamaica to escape a KKK lynching. And that story is countered and contradicted by the historical record. Oh my goodness. Is everything about this guy a lie? Is everything about this guy a fraud? And the answer is yeah. And so I say, well, that's going to keep you from being a presidential nominee for the Democrats. And then I remember that Joe Biden lied about everything. It's not going to keep him from anything. They're going to tell us for mentioning it that we're racists. That's what they're going to say. For mentioning that his whole life is a lie, they're going to call us racists. Remember the superintendent in Iowa? Remember they hired this guy? Be the superintendent? It turns out he's in the country illegally. He doesn't have any of the qualifications he said he had, but he was hired by 5 or 6 liberal white women on the school board because he was black. And he was hired because they wanted to say, look at who we hired. And so they never did the background check. Why? Because they didn't want to find anything that would keep them from hiring him. They had to hire him to show how good they were, to show how loving they were, to show how non-bigoted they are. They had to purposefully dumb themselves down and never ask a question so they would be thought of as kind and decent. Same story. Yes, they can still nominate this guy. But now you know. I'm Tony Katz, and this is Tony Katz Today. Sorry about that, guys. The voices. Now I'm in pain. It's gonna be all right. I'm gonna get into the story about this Trump video, which is ridiculous, and how people have decided to run with this without being normal, which is standard. I would give anything for people to not be dumb. That's all. Just don't be dumb. It's a simple request. Try not to be dumb. Is that too much to ask? All right. As long as that's not too much to ask, for people not to be dumb. So President Trump puts out a video. The way you'll see the headline, Trump shares racist video depicting Obamas as apes on Truth Social, then removes it amid bipartisan outrage. Tim Scott even said, I don't know what this is, the most racist thing I've ever seen. This better be a mistake. The video is not of Barack Obama or Michelle Obama. The video is dumb as can be. The video itself was of some, I forget even the conversation, some political talk thing. And then at the end of it, like it was playing a reel after the video, it shows Barack Obama and Michelle Obama like singing almost in a cartoon way, and their bodies are of apes. And you're like, what is that? Turns out there's this video that someone had created that has all of these Democrats as different animals. J.B. Pritzker's in this, a bunch of others. And they all then bow down when the lion comes walking through, king of the jungle, and the lion is Trump. Somehow this clip of it is on the end of this video, and the video is talking about the elections. It's talking about Dominion voting. It's talking about Smartmatic and a whole bunch of things. It is obvious that the president didn't post a video trying to depict the Obamas as apes. It's part of a video that already exists out there, where it has the Democratic Party as members of them as these animals in the jungle. Is it insane? Of course it's insane. You didn't know you were posting it? You didn't know how to edit it? Who did this for you? Why would you let that happen? It's just so dumb. But the idea that the president said, you know what I'm going to do today? I'm going to take the former president, the former first lady, who are both black, and I'm going to do the most racist thing I could possibly do and depict them as apes. That's my plan. Anybody who thinks Trump did that is out of their mind. That any part of that video could be connected to something else you're posting is insane. And all I want is for everybody not to be dumb. Could we go, it's like that meme where, we've gone 0 days without an accent. We've gone 0 days without somebody calling you a Nazi. Can we go 0 days without somebody being dumb? Is that really too hard? It is. It's too hard to. All right, it's too hard to ask. It's too much. Good Lord. Anyway, this will come and go. The video exists. Trump didn't make it. It was at the end of his video. It was dumb. And that's that. Keep it here. This is Tony Katz Today. Guys, you are fantastic. And I appreciate you being here. The radio show continues over at WIBC.com. I'm going to drink now all of the tea. We've got much more show to go, including the announcement regarding Benghazi. Yeah, Benghazi, an arrest was made. That got announced earlier today. I'll share that with you. I appreciate you being here. I really do. I'm sorry if the show didn't sound great today. The voice is not doing me any favors. But you're fantastic. Oh, that's right. We've got the Super Bowl this weekend. Seahawks or Patriots? I am going to root for the commercials and a steak. That's my plan. Producer Landon, Patriots or Seahawks? Seahawks by 1 million. In Indianapolis, we have not forgotten Deflategate. That was real. Tom Brady cheats. Guys, I appreciate you. I'll catch you Monday. The show continues at WIBC.com.